Hello everyone, this is Addicon Podfic, back with another podfic. Today I will be reading Eternal Exhaustion by the writer 00. This is on fanfic.net, and this is my second extra fic for spring break. And let's get right into the summary. Admittedly, the last thing Persephone expected was to find herself standing in front of her sleeping husband, who was asleep on Percy Jackson's couch after answering her stepson's prayer. She could honestly say that this wasn't on her agenda for the day, but hey, what could she do? Okay, let's get right into the fic. You say you found him like this? Percy and Nico nodded, uneasy expressions on their faces as they looked between Persephone and Hades. Persephone's eyes narrowed as she studied the scene, her lips pressed into a thin line. Explain it to me again, she commanded, breaking the tense silence in the room. Well, we were just in the kitchen, about to start making dinner when we heard a loud crash, Percy began, shifting uncomfortably. We rushed into the living room and found him lying on the couch, unconscious and snoring, Nico added, his voice barely above a whisper. Persephone sighed as she stared fondly at her snoozing husband. Hades had been known to overwork himself, often neglecting his own health in the process, and she had figured out quickly after their marriage that when he was extremely exhausted, he tended to wander off to take a nap wherever he could find a comfortable spot. It was a habit that both amused and worried her, but she knew better than to disturb him when he was in such a deep sleep. Has Dad ever done this kind of thing before? Nico asked hesitantly, and Persephone nodded sagely. Oh, yes, plenty of times, although I will say that this is the first time he's wandered to the mortal realm, Persephone mused, and Percy had a look on his face that clearly showed a mix of amusement and concern. I hope he doesn't get in any trouble, Percy said, glancing towards the door as if expecting his own father to walk in at any moment. Nico scoffed and rolled his eyes. Yeah, right. Knowing Zeus, he'll probably assume that Dad is planning on causing chaos and starting a war or something, Nico said sarcastically, earning a chuckle from Persephone as she remembered the prayer she had received from him moments earlier. 10 minutes ago. Lady Persephone! Persephone raised her head from the patch of flowers she was focused on and turned to see who was calling her. It was a naiad, one of the water nymphs who resided in the nearby stream, beckoning her over cheerfully. Persephone rose to her feet and followed the naiad's invitation, curious about what she wanted to share. Greetings, Persephone said politely, approaching the naiad with a warm smile, but her voice trailed off when she realized that she didn't know the naiad's name. I'm Tallulah, the naiad introduced herself with a cheerful smile. And it is such an honor to meet you, my lady. Oh, I've heard such wonderful things about you and your beauty. I couldn't resist the opportunity to introduce myself. Persephone's cheeks flushed with a mixture of surprise and gratitude at the naiad's kind words, feeling a sense of warmth from the unexpected encounter. Why, thank you, young one. It's nice to meet you as well. Is this your river? Persephone asked hesitantly, trying to make herself sound casual and friendly. Tallulah nodded enthusiastically, her eyes sparkling with pride. Yes, it is. I take care of this river and all the creatures that call it home. It's a joy and honor to be its guardian. Persephone smiled, pleased that she had met someone so dedicated to their role as a guardian of nature. It's clear that you have a deep connection to this place. I admire your passion for protecting it, she replied sincerely, feeling a sense of harmony with Tallulah. Thank you, my lady. I'll let you get back to work and say hello to your mother for me, Tallulah said happily, and she sank back into the river, disappearing beneath the surface with a graceful wave. Persephone watched her go, a small smile tugging at her lips as she felt a newfound appreciation for the guardians of nature like Tallulah. Suddenly, a tugging feeling settled in her stomach, and she cocked her head to the side as a familiar voice appeared in her mind. Hi, Lady Persephone. It's Nico, and it's about Dad. I'm at Percy's apartment, and Dad just appeared and is on the couch, passed out asleep. If you could come by and help us figure out what's going on, that would be great. Nico's voice echoed in her thoughts. Persephone's smile faded as she realized the seriousness of the situation, and she quickly made her way to Percy's apartment to assist with whatever was happening with Hades. Zeus does have a tendency to stir up trouble wherever he goes, Persephone agreed with a knowing smile, causing Percy to shake his head in exasperation at the thought of his uncle's antics. I just hope he doesn't send me on some stupid quest for something or other. I've had enough of those to last a lifetime, Percy grumbled, earning a sympathetic pat on the back from Nico. Don't worry, I'll have your back if he tries anything crazy, Nico reassured him, causing Percy to relax slightly at the thought of having a friend by his side in case Zeus decided to stir up trouble. Persephone walked over to the couch, knelt down, and gently shook Hades' shoulder, making him groan in a sleepy response. Hades, my love, you need to wake up, Persephone whispered softly, her voice filled with concern. The underworld won't run itself, and we have important matters to attend to, she added, urging him to rise from his slumber and face the responsibilities that awaited them both. No, no, Hades grouched, and burrowed deeper in the couch cushions, clearly not in the mood to deal with the day's tasks. Persephone sighed, knowing she would have to find a way to motivate him without causing a scene in front of their guests. Can I hit him in the head with a pillow? Nico asked, grinning mischievously as he eyed Hades. Percy cackled in delight, but Persephone just shook her head at her stepson. Please don't hit my husband, Nico, as I am sure he would not appreciate it, Persephone said, trying to diffuse the tension in the room. Nico huffed, crossing his arms petulantly, and Persephone laughed softly before shaking Hades harder. Hades, wake up, you're in the mortal realm, she said, and Hades opened his eyes slowly, blinking in confusion before realizing where he was. What happened? He asked groggily, looking around at the group gathered in the room. Persephone smiled gently, explaining the situation to him as Nico rolled his eyes in exasperation. Ah, I see. I apologize, son, nephew, Hades said, still clearly half asleep as he tried to piece together what had happened. Persephone and Nico exchanged amused glances, knowing that it would take some time for Hades to fully wake up and understand the situation. Thank you both for alerting me to the situation. Now it is time for me to return Hades to his domain, Persephone said as she gently guided Hades towards the door. Nico chuckled under his breath, knowing that Hades would likely have a lot of questions once he fully woke up. Percy waved goodbye, and the door clicked shut. A second later, Persephone and Hades were in the underworld, in Hades' palace. Hades, listen, go take a nap and I'll watch the underworld, please, Persephone said gently. Take off your clothes, Hades said sleepily, and Persephone gaped at him in surprise. Hades! Persephone scolded, but Hades just laughed sleepily and pulled her into a warm embrace, grateful for her presence in his realm. I gotta go to bed, Hades slurred, his eyes already drooping with exhaustion. Persephone smiled and guided him to their bedroom. Hades, Persephone said softly. I don't want to do this, Hades mumbled, his voice barely audible. Stop it, Persephone said firmly, gently pushing him towards the bed. Get your hands off me, sick idiot, Hades slurred, his words slurred with sleep. Persephone sighed, knowing he would thank her in the morning for taking care of him. Such a freak, Persephone murmured, her voice holding no real bite as she raised her voice slightly. Pull it together! In response, Hades just groaned loudly, and Persephone nearly laughed out loud. I'm like an animal, Hades exclaimed with a mix of frustration and self-deprecation. Persephone just shook her head, knowing that his vulnerability was a rare sight and one she cherished. You're my animal, she whispered before tucking him into bed and kissing his forehead. Have a good nap, my love. I'll see you when you wake up. Hades just snored softly in response, finally succumbing to sleep. Persephone watched over him for a moment longer before quietly leaving the room, grateful for the chance to care for him in his time of need. And that was Eternal Exhaustion. Yeah. So I don't think I have much to say this time. My throat isn't doing the best at the moment, so I apologize for that. If you could hear it, I'm not sure if you could or not, but I could hear it, so. Also, I've recently gotten into the Hades video games, so, I haven't actually played them because I don't have the game. I wish I did. It looks like a lot of fun. But, if you guys would be interested in me doing podfics, for that fandom as well, I would happily do it. I would need to find some fics before I could really start, but I would be happy to start because I've already found a couple I like. Specifically, I found a Percy Jackson crossover one, several of those that I thought were good because I searched specifically for them to, get me into the fanfics. Anyway, I think that's it for now. I hope you all enjoyed. See, Sunday we'll be back to regular schedule. I'll be doing another chapter of Great Cabin Falling Out, so yeah. Hope you all enjoyed. Have a good night or day wherever you are. Sorry again if my voice sounds weird. My throat is not doing well. Anyway, bye.